Just when you think we've finally gotten to equal rights, a stat like this highlights the sticky nature of gender inequality. Globally, women's participation in the labour force is booming, and yet we know that women are doing almost 3 times more unpaid care than their partners, brothers, and sons, and for that matter, for their male colleagues. Clearly, we have a gender inequality problem. That's why SDG 5 is about improving the lives of women and girls everywhere. My name is Rae Cooper, and I'm the Director of the Australian Centre for Gender Equality and Inclusion at Work and a Professor here at the University of Sydney Business School. Achieving gender equality is a huge project. Personally, I've been researching and working in this area for the past 25 years. Within SDG 5, the UN specifies 9 obstacles facing women and girls and identifies action needed to address them. Ending discrimination. This includes removing the formal barriers to women entering education and jobs, banning sexual harassment, and legislating for equal rights within families. Globally, women's participation in education is increasing, and in the OECD, that is the rich countries of the world, Australia is number 1. It makes economic sense for women, business, and the national economy to benefit from the return on this educational investment. With 1 in 10 women experiencing physical or sexual violence from a partner, ending violence against women reduces the terrible damage to millions of women and their families, as well as the cost to the community. Gender-based violence also occurs at work. In Australia, for instance, an alarming 4 in 10 women have experienced sexual harassment at work in the last 5 years. Child marriage, which still happens to 1 in 5 women globally, and the practice of female genital mutilation significantly reinforces the subordinate status of women. These practices are physically harmful and often prevent girls from completing school, limiting their career choices, and drastically reducing their lifetime earnings. Caring for family members, cooking, doing the laundry is important and sometimes very hard work that women undertake at almost 3 times the rate that men do each week. Societies need to recognise and to value unpaid work. 2 things need to happen. Men must take on their fair share, and governments need to offer better care systems and paid parental leave to reduce the load on individuals and their families. Globally, women occupy just over 26% of parliamentary seats and 28% of managerial positions. Having women equally represented in public life means better decision-making in politics and in the workplace. At current rates, the world will not reach gender equity in politics until 2062, and not for another 140 years in the corporate world. Just over half, 57%, of women can make their own informed decisions about sex and reproduction. Ensuring access to sexual and reproductive health rights means that women should have access to maternity care, control over their fertility, and access to fact-based sex education. Equal access to economic resources includes equality in inheritance laws and the same entitlement to land ownership, which is not what happens in many countries, including places where women make up 50% of the agricultural workforce. These days, having access to a mobile phone is essential for work and family life. And while globally there is only an 8% gender gap in mobile phone ownership, in some regions the gap is more economically significant, such as in sub-Saharan Africa, where women are 32% less likely than men to have their own phone. Despite what the loudest and the crankiest voices on the internet claim, the data tells us that women and girls face discrimination and obstacles that men do not. We need legislation and enforceable policies to build toward gender equality. Okay, so that's a lot to absorb. It's important to appreciate that there is a dual logic underlying these 9 targets. Every measure taken to improve the lives of women and girls is a personal right owed to them. And from my research, I know that upholding women's rights is also an investment in the whole of society. Families flourish, businesses operate better, and the performance of national economies improves. Yet, only 15% of the SDG 5 targets to improve women's lives are on track to be achieved by the 2030 deadline. All of us can take personal responsibility around the choices and priorities we make. We can lobby governments to monitor and fund programs that advance gender equality, partner with organisations that work with women to protect and advance their rights. We can speak up ourselves against injustice, discrimination, and bad practice in our own workplaces and lives. And we have a lot to gain from this work. I'll leave you with a load of facts about the female condition in this part of the 21st century.